What is up, everyone? Welcome on back to the channel. I'm super sorry that it's been a longer delay since the last video and the one that I'm filming right now. There's been a lot of stuff going on in both my personal life, family, work. I'm just working a lot too, so I'm doing my absolute best, I promise. I think I've got everything more under control than I did. There's just a lot of stuff that needed my attention right now, but we're back. We're gonna try and get this thing finally with the engine in. I want the turbo on, and I think we may start messing with the fuel system too. And because of how big the delay is with a lot of the videos, this video with it ended, we'll have all of that done. That is my plan. So if this video's up, that stuff's done. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Last time, I can't remember if I did it on camera or off camera. I feel bad, it's just been that long. I was having kind of, not so much an issue, but I was having a problem where basically the subframe and the bottom of the oil pan was touching, or the top of here was touching. So I'm not 100% sure if I need to clearance right here yet. So we may be pulling out a hammer and whacking the ever-living daylights out of it, but we'll find out. So I'm gonna try and test fit this one more time and I'll give you guys an update. So yeah, here we go. Oh, I didn't see you there. Sorry. Well, real quickly, I want to be able to put a nice little plug-in for the Angus Auto merch that we're having on our channel. This is the 68 Mustang shirt with the Barra. As you guys can see, it's super sick, so head on over to our site and pick it on up. We've also got this purple E36 shirt, which is what I'm hoping maybe this car will look like when it's all said and done. We also will have one more shirt. It's a junk cars shirt. It's got a 2JZ next to my previous black and white two-toned E36 that's sitting here in the corner like the naughty child. We've also got these really sick hats. So if you go over and you want to support the channel, I'd really appreciate it. It really goes a long ways to making sure that we're able to keep this content going and entertaining you guys. So thank you so much. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, so quick update. So we are super close. The only issue I'm having is this side is a little, I don't even tell, the mount is more outboard and just not as lined up as I'd liked. But this side is kind of doing the same thing. So now I'm a little concerned that these mounts aren't going to line up. I'm just going to keep playing around with them and see if it's going to work. I don't really have another option. I mean, these are literally E36 2JZ mounts. So I haven't heard anyone really having to modify these ones. So we're going to try our best and see what happens. So yeah, here we go. I don't even know where to stand. Don't do what I'm doing. Okay, so real quick, I've got this side's in actually, so it just kind of fell in place, and those Condor Speed Shop bushings, that one flexed just enough to where I could get it on. I'm trying to get it to do the same with this one, but you can see it's just a little off, so I don't think I've got any more budge or movement necessarily with the engine. I've got to figure out a way where I'm going to be able to maybe move the bushing with the bolt on it, or the threads on it, just so where it can move over just enough and it'll fall in place. I don't know if they install these when they take the bushings out and put it on. I feel like that would be a little harder. I can explore that option if this becomes a little bit more difficult. But as of right now, yeah, I'm gonna keep messing with it and we'll see what happens. I tried even like, I don't probably saw in the video, I tried standing up here and kind of like kicking my foot onto it. It only actually moved it over just a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to force this. Yeah, here we go. Oh my God, so close. Oh my God, I got it. Yes, I got it. Okay, now I gotta figure out everything else. All right, guys, we got it in the car. So what happened was I got it a little bit more closer, and then I actually put a pry bar in between the little gap there, and I kind of shoved this in there, and then I kind of like put it on the threads, and then I twisted it because I couldn't get enough to leverage to turn it, and it slowly, basically in like one good motion, it got in the little slot and fell into place. My issue was my handle kept hitting the AC and this guy, which we will be deleting the AC. I just haven't figured out a belt system yet for this guy. I just want to make the front of this as simple as possible. Probably could have done this outside the car, and I probably could have put the starter inside the car, outside the car. That's not going to be very fun now that I just thought about that. But you know what? I want to get this in the car and do whatever else. If it's not going to be fun, we'll worry about it later. So, and if it has to come out, it has to come out. At least now we know to put it in. I want to start mocking some stuff up. Now, I'm going to try and find some bolts. Not bolts, excuse me. Nuts to be where I can bolt these down. And then I'm going to try and work on the transmission cross member, because I didn't put that on because I wasn't sure which orientation it is. It's all loosened up and ready to go on. It just slips on. And then we might put the shifter on too. That's going to be really exciting. So I'm super happy to get this into the car. I don't want to jump the gun, but I kind of thought about what if I could get the shifter on, get the transmission cross member on, get the engine hoist out of the way, and I can maybe put the front end of the car back on. I think that would be really cool. Some of the stuff might be kind of a pain to access, but we can at least just put it on loose and take whatever we off later we need. But I kind of want to see what it looks like. So yeah, let's get to putting on the transmission cross member and doing, yeah, transmission cross member and then shifter, and then yeah, we'll see where the rest of the day takes us. So yeah.
Which way do you go? Yeah, I think it goes like that. So annoying, dog box. There we go. It's too long. Yeah, that's wrong. Okay. Alright. Now I know.
All right, guys, sorry that took a little longer than I wanted it to. It just was kind of a balancing act, trying to get everything lined up. Basically, once I got like the motor mounts kind of aligned, and they were loose, so I had everything loose so I could move things around. I had to kind of like get the transmission jack up, and then once I would do I jacked the transmission jack. Once I would jack the transmission up, it would go a little bit to the right, then I have to push it back, and I kind of would have to hold it as I'm getting the bolt in. Which then I forgot that the bushings were on the backside of the ZF. There's like 2 mounting points. So there's 2 mounting points on the transmission basically. I think one might be for like the E39 chassis. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, and then the other one would be basically for this car. So I think this came out of an E39. That's why those bushings were in the wrong spot. So I had to take those out. That was out, and then I put the transmission mount on, and that went on fairly smooth. But once I got it bolted up to the car, I was trying to put the shifter on. So this is the shifter, came off with the gut drag. I thought it might work. It doesn't. So basically the length comes in for about to like right here from this end over here on the left. And it's too long. So I'm gonna have to get something else. So shifter won't be mounted today. That's okay, but we have a massive win. Basically, the 2J is mounted in the car. So I'm gonna real quickly get up and I'm going to take the hoist off and I'm gonna admire my work. So here we go. Let's take a look. All right, you guys. I'm pretty pumped. So it is finally mounted in the car. So I got 1 mount, 2 mount, and as you can see, the transmission's bolted too. So theoretically, you know, it's still a lot of work to do. A few parts to order left, but we are really close. So I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to maybe try and get the turbo manifold back on. Yeah, I don't see why we can't do that. So we're gonna get the turbo manifold back on. Now, just because there are some people watching that probably have a little bit more experience than I do putting the 2J, like a 2JZ in a car or any swap, I'm still learning at this. So I'm already looking and there's already some things that I probably would do better now when I would probably do it again. Now, in terms of stripping the bay, you know, I'm probably gonna run into an issue, honestly, already with the intake manifold and where the brake booster is. This is probably gonna hit. I'm gonna try and see if it works. I know there's a way where some people have gotten it to work. I'm not unopposed to manual brakes, but it's just another expense, and this is already an expensive enough swap as it is. So I'm trying to cut costs and cut corners, because I'm really not. I'm just trying to get at least what's necessary and what's to get this running. No, you don't need a crazy turbo. No, you don't need, you know, I went with an R-Tech manifold, but like I think the R-Tech manifold and G35, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I can buy it once and I don't have to worry about buying it again later. You know, if I want to build this motor later, I can definitely do that and put that whole turbo and swap on. I don't see any issue with the stock 2JZ manifolds. I mean, they still run them in FD, so it should be fine. Obviously, I'm gonna need to change some of this front accessory stuff. Like, this is gonna go. We're not gonna run the stock water coolant setup. And these belts are super old. I will change these. We are gonna change the timing belt. And if any of you know, these are known to failing. This is like one of the, not the only Achilles heel to this engine. This is a 2-piece style harmonic balancer, and it's rubber in the center. These are notorious for splitting, and then what happens is your crankshaft spins, and then it just destroys a lot of stuff. So I don't want that to happen, so we are gonna swap this. That's not terribly hard to do, except this is like torqued to 500 and something foot-pounds. I have taken one of these off before. You have to use a blowtorch. It's not fun. Like just to loosen it up and then you take it on out. But that is a problem for another day, because I don't have the parts to change that right now. So, one of the problems I was having when I was doing this in the car was, as you can see on the slots, this can come further forward a little bit more. But the issue is the oil pan. I'm trying to think if there's a good way I can show this. The oil pan is very close. That's probably the best shot I can get, guys. Sorry if it's a little cruddy. I'm definitely going to want to get underneath there and make sure I'm clear enough, because the last thing I want is to get bumped and then it hits the oil pan. But truthfully, I could just keep it in mind later, and maybe what we can do is I can clearance the pump, or not clearance the pump, it's oil pan. Clearance the oil pan just a little bit. Or we do some special, this is all stuff that I'm just gonna have to learn as I'm going. So I think for right now, I'm gonna try to come up with a game plan for the next item I'm gonna hit. I do need to do a few errands today and get some lunch, so we'll see what happens. But all right, guys. Well, here we go. Looking pretty good, I think. So, obviously, when I'm done working on it, I'm gonna cover it all up because I don't want anything, you know, getting the turbo or getting the backside of the exhaust or anything like that too. Unfortunately, I do have the intake off, and I think this one will be fine. But truthfully, I should have waited to take the intake off, so that way there was no risk of anything getting in there. Was pretty good at keeping it clean, so I'm not super worried. But yeah, that is starting to look pretty freaking cool, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think for the day, I'm gonna call it right here. I have some stuff I gotta get done, and then I want to also prep, because tomorrow I'm gonna try and tackle the fuel system. If we don't get to the intake manifold, I kind of want to get to the intake manifold so I can kind of seal the engine off. I don't know if it's gonna fit. Just because of the brake booster and everything else in the way. I'll have to look at probably gosh, the only one that comes to mind that has the intake manifold that would be easy to see with in terms of finding out would be I think Adam LZ's car has the brake booster still on it, or at least it did previously for a long time, so I can at least see how well he got it to fit. I mean, I probably can just pull this hose off, as long as I'll have to check and see what it's connected to and everything else, and maybe modify a few things, but it should fit. There is a lot of just junk that's connected to a lot of stuff, so in hindsight, yeah, I probably should have stripped it off and taken a lot of the stuff off before I put the motor in the car, but I really wanted to get this thing in here for that mid-build motivation, and I am definitely motivated. This thing is starting to get pretty close. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Not the video, but just for what we're gonna do today, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, guys, and we're back. So this is gonna be the second take, because I realized once I started actually doing my intro and working on things, the camera wasn't recording. So let's do this one more time. So in the previous video, I know that there was the previous clip, I know that there was a lot of time lapses and me quickly doing things. A lot of it was just me trying to get this in the car on a time crunch. So what I will say is the motor is in the car, and what we did was I did put the Garrett turbo on, I put the Artec manifold on, the GVW Garrett wastegates on. I have it covered up right now because I don't have anything that will stop anything from going inside this right now. And I don't, so want to protect this expensive turbo, don't want to get damaged. One thing I didn't mention was the motor mounts that we used were excessive manufacturing. That was the same for the transmission cross member, and we already had Condor bushings on the engine from the car previously. One reason I kind of actually got the car, and one reason I didn't bother going with the excessive mounts was because it's one less thing for me to install. I know the Condor ones are totally fine. One thing I did do that wasn't filmed on camera was I actually went ahead and removed the studs. There's only 2 left on here. So for any of you guys, if you ever have an issue getting those studs off, because sometimes I think, what bit is this? It's like an Echo. Yeah, it's like an E7 bit. So it's like one of those, let's see if you guys can see that. It's like a little star kind of bit. They're totally fine, but this one's really small, so it's notorious for those little heads to strip. So what you can do is you get 2 nuts on there, and you put the first one on, and then you take the second one on, you tighten them against each other, and then you start backing off the one closest to the block, and it'll actually, after a little bit, it'll feel like it's getting loose, they'll catch, and it'll come off. If that doesn't work, just tighten them back down one more time and do it again. Unfortunately, I had to do it twice because they wouldn't come off at all. So when I'm talking about stripping, I don't know if you guys can see that. The one on the right was starting to, and the one on the left, I just didn't even play any games, and I went ahead and did the double bolt method. Unfortunately, both these nuts are pretty stuck on there. I don't have a vise, which is gonna lead me into my other kind of dilemma, but you know, I'll figure out a solution. So over here, I actually found that off my previous engine, I actually have a starter. So in order to get that attached to the bell housing and the adapter, it's actually still got the bolts on, which is cool. I actually believe this is supposed to be threaded actually, so maybe I won't have a problem with that. So I'm gonna test this later and make sure it's good. Oh yeah, there are threads. So there's threads actually in those holes. And so what I'll need to do is I'll need to put this on a vise or something and drill those through, because this is actually gonna, when it goes onto the bell housing and the adapter and the transmission, when it goes in the ZF is actually threaded, I believe. So instead of the bolts coming through, oh, actually, so this might go off something else actually. Anyways, sorry for my bad filming. Yeah, so this comes on the back side of the engine, typically on a JZ, and this is now going to be forwards on the block side. So we'll put this in maybe in this video, maybe another one. My other thing is I do have a spare alternator, which is really good because I'm going to, I think, try and use the one I've got over here, just because it's already on the engine. It doesn't look any better shape than the other one. I know some people are going to judge, you know, you should just spend the money and get a new alternator. They're not cheap. I know 300 bucks may not sound like a whole lot to someone, but I've already spent a lot of money on this engine and getting it started. So if I can just get it started and get that all going, then I will invest in getting another alternator. My goal is just to get it started right now, especially when my number one thing that I want to do with this whole front assembly is I definitely want to get a new harmonic balancer. These ones are notorious for splitting, as I was saying previously in this video. I don't know if we'll get to all of this today. My main goal today is I want to get the new PRP studs on here, so we'll do that, and I want to test fit the intake manifold, which is actually what we are doing over here. So this is what I was filming, and then I realized that I wasn't recording, so I still had some of these brackets on here. So I'm trying to take this old fuel rail off because we have new injectors and we have a new fuel rail. So this old one's gonna come off. I might, if I can find a little brass brush or wire brush or something, I might hit this with some Griot's citrus cleaner and try and clean up this aluminum, because this is the bottom piece, so you may not even see this, but this one actually is in better condition. And we're gonna strip this guy, and I'm gonna need to do some research on, so the throttle body I believe we are gonna reuse, which is interesting. Someone already changed this connector actually. This was the one that came on this engine. So it's interesting. That actually might work. But we are gonna change, there's a little piece from Drift Motion I need to put in here. to make it work with our setup. So I'll need to do some research on that. Worst case, we'll take this off and I'll take care of that. But as of right now, I do want to test fit all this. And I'm going to try and get to the starter situation. But for right now, let's try and tackle and clean up the rest of this intake manifold, and we can worry about that right now. All right, guys, so got this guy pretty stripped on. The throttle body is now just sitting over here. I'll have to dig into this here in a second, but yep, this guy's off. So this is the top part of the plenum. I don't know if you guys can kind of see in here. Let me get a light.
Yep, so that's what it looks like inside there. There's nothing alarming, no pieces in there, no metal. So this thing stayed pretty clean,
Even though these ports were open. Yeah, so this guy's nice and stripped. I'll probably rip off these pieces here in the future. And then we've got the bottom part over here. I just sat it down like this, in case anything was in there, it could just fall out. But yeah, pretty clean. Nothing really to worry about. So I think our next step is I'm probably going to start putting the new studs on, and then we'll just put the top plenum on and see where it sits. One thing I probably will have to do, I might probably take these hooks off, which is really nice when you're trying to pull this. It just kind of sleeks up the engine bay and it's less stuff in the way. There's no point really of this being in here, because truthfully this engine's probably not going to come back out anytime soon. Cross my fingers. I hope I didn't just jinx myself. But yeah, so I think everything else were pretty good. Other than that, yeah, so let's start putting the new PRP studs on. We can test fit the manifold, and then I'm going to think on how I'm going to tackle that starter. So yep, stay tuned. All right, guys, so those new studs are installed. Nothing too exciting. Just in with a little bit of WD-40, and then I slightly dried them out with like a Q-tip or something. And then just put them in basically hand tight, and then they have like a little hex bit. I think it's like a T or like a 4mm bit. Sorry, I like moved the camera up to look. I didn't like reef on them. If they reef on them, something's wrong. I just literally, I mean, I'm moving it with like one finger with the wrench to get them on. So they went in very easy. I think right now I'm not gonna put the gasket on yet. I don't think. I just want to put the lower runner in, because I want to see how close it is to this brake master cylinder. It should clear. We should be fine. As long as it does that, I'm gonna be able to sleep at night a lot better. So, all right, let's test fit that and see what that looks like. Oh, God. How the heck do you... Ooh. All right, guys, bear with me. I'm gonna try and do this one-handed. So I don't know if I'm gonna show that in the video, but it might be easier to see from this angle. So this is the plenum, or the manifold, the runners. Look how close that is to this. I don't know how the heck. So unfortunately, this is hitting that. This is hitting that. So, oh great, now it's stuck. I'm not quite sure what the best solution for this is. The only thing I can think of right now is I will probably just cover up the ports with probably like Gorilla Tape or some sort of tape, or I could put like, just basically cover them up so nothing gets in there. I think in terms of the situation with the brake master cylinder, I have been thinking on switching to manual brakes, because you can make them feel exactly like booster brakes, and especially with racing, you want a consistent pedal feel, especially in drifting. So that might be the only solution. I expected that to fit. I've seen it fit in other cars. I wonder if there's like a way where they're moving the booster over to another slot. I'm gonna have to dig into that, because I know a lot of guys that just delete this and go to a normal like motorsports style chassis harness, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised on that. I expected a little bit more room. I mean, I'd really have to jam the manifold in there, and even then I don't know if I could be able to get the top runner. And so, all right, well, we're gonna scrap that idea. Yeah, I was not expecting that to happen. I actually really thought it was gonna fit. So we're gonna have to come up with a plan B now. Shit. All right, guys, so I wasn't expecting that. I actually really thought the manifold was gonna fit. Now that it doesn't, I kind of want to do some research, and I need to figure out now what my next, and well, not my next, but my best course of action is with that. I think we're just gonna have to go manual brakes. I don't really know of another option with it, but I want to research as to how people are running this booster, unless they're running it off of a different car and they're kind of like retrofitting it. I need to figure that guy out. I just don't want to rip stuff apart, if that makes sense, and then just create bigger problems for myself. The one thing I need to figure out is I don't really have a way of securing down the vise with, like, I could try and do my foot and then drill the threads out for the starter. But I mean, if I mess up, you know, I only really get one shot at it. So I need to figure out if I can borrow someone's vise or just have them do it. Secondly, unfortunately, I'm going to have to figure out what parts to order now, because I can't really move forward now with a lot of the next parts and projects. We could tackle the fuel system. I was waiting for one part left in order to do that. Man, that sucks. I actually was really hoping to get that on there. Yeah. Sorry for this video being really jungled together, guys, as opposed to the last ones. There's just been a lot of stuff going on, and I've been trying to, I'm trying to get a video out with how busy I've been. There's some really exciting stuff in the background that I've been working on for the last couple of months, but I can't announce it yet because it may fall through, and I don't want to, you know, upset anyone. It's not with a company or anything else. It's just something going on in my personal life. But I do want to ask you guys suggestions. This is a big thing. So, as you guys know, I put these shelving units up. I reorganized this corner and everything else. It actually looks, you know, it's pretty doable. I need to find a home for that and put it up there. But I do have an idea with that car, or with that. So, with the transmission, the clutch, and everything else, I could reuse some of that Getrag transmission and some other stuff. We'd still have the M50. Which, no, I'm not happy it's on its side. I don't know how other way to set it up right. I was going to do it against this post, but I don't own the shop, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can. But I almost was thinking on putting it in that E36 covered in boxes, which brings me to the other topic. This shop is an absolute disaster. I know I need to make a trip and throw away a lot of the cardboard, except the box up there. That's actually the gasket kit for the JZ and everything. But I think I need to maybe take a day, or maybe we do this in a video. I think I need to put this car on the ground and push it out, and I need to reorganize the way this thing's set up, because I think what I want to do is I want to get this E36 next to that E36 and then take the Mustang and put it here, because I can have this shelf like right here and move this out and basically just make this an area where I can store this stuff, and then it's easier for things to walk by. But then I can kind of make this my working area, because right now the problem is I can barely squeeze by here. I basically just got this one little area, and then if I want to do the hoist or anything else like that, it's just so tight to pull everything out. So it'd be nice to have this car here and just make it all work. That's my goal. Or what I do is I switch that 36 and I put it there and take this one here. It's just a mess in here, and I want to be able to utilize the space. I've also got all of these banners that I want to hang back on up, but I had to take them down because they were originally right here. I'm kind of just rambling, and again, I'm sorry that it's just been kind of a mess in this video. Just a lot of things I've been wanting to get done. I mean, the exciting part is, and I don't want to gloss over, is this is in the car. I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't have to come back out for any specific reason. I can't think of why. The only thing that might, poke us in the butt is I do have the coolant little channel underneath there. That little guy right there, I don't know if you can kind of see it. It is only got one like bolt in the back, so in case I have to take that off, I don't know why, but I just don't know why I'd run it, because I don't believe we're gonna run a gear core. I just gotta do a little bit more research on that with the plumbing. The other part is I do have all the lines to run into the turbo and the coolant lines and everything else. Haven't put them on yet because I don't know which one's the inlet, which one's the outlet. Been trying to Google that. Haven't gotten too big of a straight answer. It's just been a lot of like, basically, not waiting on parts, but figuring out which parts to buy in order. We're still waiting on the radiator. I don't know what's going on with that one. Nobody's fault. I mean, that's just car parts ordering in general. I could, like, it'd be nice to just be able to put it in and then I could do the whole front. But really, as much as I want to do that, there's no point when I'm just going to have to take off part of the front accessory, because the one thing I am going to do, no matter what, I'm changing this timing bolt. I have no idea when it was done. I don't know if it's, been changed the last 10 years. Even then, it's just been sitting. So last thing I want is to mess up timing on a 2JZ. Or have any issue with timing on a 2JZ, because I really would like to enjoy this motor before any other issues happen. Other than that, besides the brake situation with the brake booster and the manifold, everything else is pretty straightforward. We just got to figure out basically what to do with certain plumbing situation, the front assembly for the accessory drive. The one other thing, we got to figure out what to do in here. I can run that seat for a little bit. I found out a shifter that'll work. Unfortunately, the stock E36 M3 one, I guess, is going to be too long. I need a shorter one, so I might just be safe and do the adjustable one, but they're $250 to $300. So we'll see if I want to spend that much right now. It seems minuscule, but there's a bunch of other parts that I'd like to get right now. I think I'm going to steal the black dash and put it in here. I just cannot look at the tan, and I can't look at that tan seat. It's just shredded. The thing is, this doesn't have a seatbelt, so if I want to take a passenger right now, it's going to be a little bit of a sketchy time. Other than that, yeah, just the fuel system back there. I'm just not quite ready to dive into that yet. There's like one or two parts that I'd like to get, or other things that I'd like to get to help situate it. Other than that, I'm kind of bummed about it, but like all the wiring here is like in okay condition. I'm just so... Long story short, the key solenoid is still messed up. I cannot get it out because, I don't know if you can tell in there, it is completely drilled out. So there's like no way I can get vice grips or anything to pop that thing out. I even bought a brand new key. No, the car is not stolen. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do in terms of getting that situated. I'm probably just going to go to a push button start at this point, which is one reason why I'm kind of tempted to just go motorsports wiring in this vehicle. Also, it's going to just make it so much more easier to diagnose anything if something goes wrong, because everything's going to be simple. It's just going to be everything that we need. Plus, I can run everything through the Link ECU and a CAN bus keyboard, which I'm kind of tempted to do and just make that the push start, and then just situate that and everything else. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan right now. I don't know if I'm going to end this video right now where it is. You'll probably know here in a second, but yeah, I just appreciate everyone that's watching these videos. I am sorry that it's just been so crazy. I'm trying my best to get like best moves that I can in terms of progressing. It's just been a little hard with basically time and funds right now. So hope you guys can understand. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to head on over to angusauto.com and pick up some of the merch that we got. We got some hats, we got like 3 shirts, some keychains. It greatly supports the channel, and I just really appreciate it. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.